Sweet! A new Wizife episode!
Okay guys, in a little bit from now I'm going to tell you exactly how I actually came to put the Rubik's Cube together, which I think is kind of cool. It's kind of one of those cool things that I can do, one of them, or only one of them. I don't know how you say that, but anyway, this is, see, it's a new year. Last year I talked about, beginning of the new year is time to start something new, to let God do something new in us. And that's what I talked about last week. Now, this week I'm going to talk about goals. Because, see, it's a new year, it's time to think about, New Year's resolutions or whatever you want to call them. Now, I don't really like the idea of New Year's resolutions as much because a lot of times, if you actually looked at the statistics for the people that create New Year's resolutions in a month after they create them, by the end of January, like 35% of people pitch their goals, don't do anything about their goals, they give up on their goals, their New Year's resolutions that they just made like 30 days earlier, which is sad, like really, really sad. So I'm going to talk about goals, and I'm going to talk about how to accomplish those goals and how all goals are accomplished, and it's just like a 4-step process. And the main thing, what it all boils down to pretty much is diligence, and in being diligent in the Proverbs. If you've ever read Proverbs, you'll probably think of a couple verses that talk about diligence, and it talks about the plans of the diligent prosper and all that good stuff. And the reason for that is because they kind of follow a 4-step process, and I'll get into that a little bit. It's the same way how I learned how to do this Rubik's Cube. But the thing that I wanted to start off this episode off with is a thing of just this past New Year's Eve. We had all the youth at our house, and they stayed till like 4 o'clock in the morning, which was great. We had a lot of fun. But about, let's see, like a little bit before 12 o'clock, before New Year's, we sat down all in a group and everything, and then we talked about goals. First of all, we talked about goals that we accomplished the year before, and then we talked about some goals that we have for the next year. And we didn't talk about it as goals for the youth group. It was more of like a personal thing about anybody could share that wanted to talk about some goals that they've reached and why they reached them, maybe, or something like that. And I talked about the thing of, well, for the past year, maybe it's good for you to think about some of the things you've done in the past year, the goals that you've reached. Now, be sure, as I said in the last episode, to not dwell on those things and to let those things hinder you from moving on. But it's good to look at the goals that we accomplished and see what we did right, and how we can improve in this next year. And I look back, I created Wizife. I created the Wizife show. I started that. So that was a goal that I accomplished. And then, let's see, I read through the Bible. The whole Bible. I followed a plan, read through the Bible. Another goal I accomplished. Now, let's see, I'm trying to think if there's any other big goal that I accomplished. Well, I'll just stick to those two. Then I'm going to share with you how I came to accomplish those, and share with you how I came to accomplish putting together a Rubik's Cube. See, putting together a Rubik's Cube, it's all the process. As I said, is a 4-step process to being successful at something and completing your goals and being diligent about it. First of all, I had a very clear goal. I knew exactly where I wanted to end up with. I wanted to put together the Rubik's Cube in a couple minutes' time. That was my goal. And I've accomplished that goal. Now, here's the thing that most people mess up. They get a New Year's resolution and they just say, well, I want to lose weight. They don't say what weight they want to come down to. They're not very specific. They don't have a clear goal of what they want to accomplish. And see, I have this clear goal that I want to put together the Rubik's Cube in a couple minutes' time. So I had the goal. That was step number 1, to have a clear goal so that you know where you want to go. And step number 2, I was in Bible school at the time, and there was a couple of people there that could put together the Rubik's Cube. And so I went to them and I asked them to show me how to do it. And that's step number 2, is to get advice from other people, to get advice from people that have done it before, that are wiser than you, and get their opinion, like a mentor kind of person. And so get their opinion on it, and they showed me how to do it. They showed me the different stuff, how to do it and everything, and different techniques and whatever else. And it worked out good, and I learned from them. Then the third thing I did was I came up with a detailed plan. Now, this detailed plan is actually, somebody else wrote it up, but I just copied it. And it looks like this. I don't know if you can see that. I'll hold it close here. But anyway, it doesn't make any sense if you just look at it, but it's a code that you follow of, okay, if you're a certain situation with your Rubik's Cube, as you're putting it together, you just follow the code and you get to where you can put it together. And I don't even use it anymore because I've memorized it all. But I had a detailed plan to do it. And I say, okay, I'm going to follow this, and I'm going to practice and practice and practice. And I did it. I practiced a lot till I finally got it. But then I had it, and then that's the fourth step comes, and that is to persevere, to keep at it until you got it finished, until you follow your plan, your detailed plan, and you've accomplished what you wanted to reach, to persevere. And so it's like, okay, it's like I said, it's a 4-step process. So if you actually look back in anything that you've accomplished, I bet you probably did the 4-step process without even thinking about it. Like for my goals that I had about I had reading through the Bible, which actually the goal for that was to have better knowledge of the Bible and more complete knowledge of the Bible and grow in Christ. That was kind of my goal, and the detailed plan was to read through the Bible, follow this reading plan, and read through the Bible and do it every evening or whatever, and follow it and persevere until I'm finished. So there I had mentors, I had people that have read through the Bible before, and they've told me, hey, you gotta read through the whole Bible. It's really good to read through the Bible in a year. Actually, one guy in Bible school, one of my teachers, actually talked about how he gets his children to actually read through the Bible every year. And he talked about how important it is. So that I had a mentor, I had somebody that knew what they were doing and that advised me to read through the Bible. That's a way to grow in my Christian walk. So I did that. I followed their advice. And then I persevered, and I completed the goal of reading through the Bible that year, and I became a better Christian because of it. So I reached my goal. And then also the thing of starting the Wiz Life show is kind of the same thing. It's I had a whole bunch of mentors with that. I mean, all the different preachers I've listened to, I've YouTube videos, whatever it may be, but they've all mentored me and helped me along there. And they had a clear goal. I want to create a weekly video that will help people grow in Christ, that will help me grow in Christ, mostly me actually, but that will make a difference, and it will, and the ultimate goal is to grow in Christ. So that's kind of the same. I kind of had the same goal for both of the things that I got finished reading through the Bible and starting the Wiz Life show, and that was just part of the detailed plan to get there. And then I persevered till I got it finished. I could have given up after a couple of weeks, but I didn't. I kept at it. I persevered. And then now I want to look a little bit into the future. What goals do I want to accomplish this next year? Well, let's see here. I want to, again, this time I want to keep on with Wiz Life. I want to keep growing in Christ. And the detailed plan that goes along with that is, let's keep listening to other people's sermons, which is they're mentoring me. I'm learning from them. Like I said in step 2, then step 3 is to have a detailed plan, and my part of that detailed plan is to keep up with the Wiz Life show and to read through the Bible again, but this time I wanted to take notes and I want to post it online. And you can actually, I just started that like a couple days ago, and you can actually find it on wizlife.com if you look at Wiz Life Daily. I call it Wiz Life Daily. It's wizlife.com/daily. And what I do there is every day I put up the verses, the chapters for that day that we need to read, and then I put down some notes that I took while I was reading those. And then my goal is to kind of start a discussion and to help each other to grow in Christ. Again, it's all about growing in Christ. It's the goal. then this is the detailed plan to get there, and I need you to help with that. So if you can, go to wizlife.com/daily and help me out with that. I don't know what goals you have, I don't know what you're thinking about your goals, but the most important goal to have naturally as a Christian is to grow in Christ and to learn more about God and to dig deeper into the Bible, into relationships with Christ, into other relationships. And that's why I started the Wiz Life Daily thing, and that's why I want you to get involved with that. So before this episode, I decided I'm going to talk a little bit about Paul. I mean, think about Paul. He started out his life as the perfect Pharisee, as one of the best Pharisees there was. I mean, he was serious. He had all this good schooling, and I don't know what else he had, but he was like a top of the line Pharisee. And the only way that he could get there was following the 4 rules, the 4 steps, is to know where he wanted to be. He wanted to be one of the best Pharisees, and then to have mentors, which he had a whole bunch of teachers and things that taught him, and then to have a detailed plan to get there. Okay, I'm going to do this. I'm going to like part of his detailed plan was to destroy the Jesus followers, to destroy the Christians. That was one of his detailed plans, and he did it. He persevered, and he did it until he realized that he was doing the wrong thing. And then what happened is he turned around and he realized that all the things that he's accomplished so far really doesn't mean anything because of Jesus, because he was doing the goal the wrong way. He had the wrong goal. And that's one thing I want to warn you about. Make sure you have the right goal. And now he transferred his goal into becoming the best Christian and to reaching the Gentiles. He had a very clear goal about reaching the Gentiles for Christ. And he had people to mentor him, like Peter and different of the disciples, I'm sure, mentored him with it and everything. And then he had, like I said, he had a detailed plan to go out, and he traveled all these different places. He knew what he was doing, and then he persevered, and he went through and he did it till the end of his life. Till when he got to the end of his life, he could look back and be happy about what he accomplished. And so that's what I want to challenge you with, is to find goals that will glorify God. Don't just make sure that your goal that you have is a goal that's true and that's right and that's just, and that will all in all be something that you can be proud of accomplishing in a way that will glorify God. So that's my challenge for you. And in the comment section below, just write down what are a couple of your goals for this next year. What are some things that you're thinking about?
Okay guys, it's WizIve goal number 17, and that is to be diligent in your goals and to make sure that you have the right goals that will glorify God and not a bad goal like Paul had at first. And the verse that I have that goes along with that is Proverbs 21:5, which is, "The plans of the diligent lead to profit as surely as haste leads to poverty." And it's pretty much what it's saying. It's plans. If you diligently plan and to follow your goals and everything, then you will be more successful than if you just really quickly kind of hastily do something.
Okay guys, it's time for the biblical joke of the week, and I actually had to find this one online because nobody submitted one, so please submit your jokes. So here's how it goes. One Sunday in a Midwest city, a young child was acting up during the morning worship hour. The parents did their best to maintain some sense of order in the pew, but were losing the battle. Finally, the father picked the little fellow up and walked sternly up the aisle on his way out. Just before reaching the safety of the foyer, the little one called loudly to the congregation, "Pray for me! Pray for me!"
I need you to submit your favorite biblical joke so that I can have it on the show. You can either contact me through the wizive.com website, or you can create a video response to this video on YouTube.
This has been the WizIve Show. My name is Justin Miller, and as always, I'm out.